Hello, and welcome to the Guilbault Girls Show, where you will have the opportunity to hear from mothers, fathers, siblings, and individuals themselves about their journey of living with a disability. I know, it's called Guilbault Girls, but we have a bonus for you as we get the Guilbault boys to interview some of the dads and siblings and get their perspectives too. We'll also have special guests from time to time to share the many resources that are available to those living with a disability and their families. So get ready to laugh, smile, cry, maybe even get a little angry when you hear some of these stories of their day-to-day struggles. But let's not forget their many triumphs. As they say, it takes a village. And if it weren't for our village, we wouldn't be where we are today. So join us. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Guilbault Girls Show. I'm your host, Karen Guilbault, and today's guests are Jared Allen and Colin Miller of Edward Jones Financial in Havre de Grace, Maryland. So a little backstory. So I became an independent insurance broker focusing on the Medicare space and recently expanded to the Affordable Care Act, ACA. And I was set up at the Havre de Grace First Friday, and lo and behold, they were at the table right next to me. So we got to talking, which led to networking, which led to more networking and partnerships. So they've sent people my way, I'm sending people their way. And just recently, Colin and I went out and we spoke and did a seminar to some of the seniors. So it's a great partnership. These guys are great. The first time that I walked into their office, if you guys can read what's on the back of Jared's screen, maybe we'll have him read that to us a little bit later because I fell in love with it. But really, I wanted to have them on because, let's face it, financial planning is difficult for everybody, but especially for families affected by disability. At any given time, almost 9 million families in America are caring for a child with disabilities, and many of these families are dealing with significant financial difficulties. I was recently looking at an article that stated that the average cost of autism is $60,000 a year through childhood, and adult services are expected to exceed $461 billion by 2025. Meanwhile, according to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC research, the average lifetime cost for an individual with cerebral palsy, which is what Faith has, can top $1.5 million once adjusted for inflation. So I thought there was no better time to close out 2023 with an interview regarding financial planning. So with that, thank you guys both once again for being on the show. I'm just excited to have you. And how about Jared? Let's start with you. Can you share a little bit about yourself, what led you to wanting to get into the field of financial planning, and a little bit about the mission of Edward Jones? And you can even read what's on the wall too, if you want.
Sounds good. So I was blessed to have my start with Edward Jones, I will say going back to 2010. Okay. I met another local financial advisor who was the president of the Rotary Club here in Havre de Grace. And the Rotary Club actually gave me a scholarship to go to college.
Oh, wow.
And at the time, I thought that I wanted to be an accountant. So I signed up, was looking for a school that was strong in accounting. But then after meeting the other advisor, then I was shown what a future in finance would look like, and I added on a second major. From there, we stayed in contact. I did an internship in Havre de Grace in 2013, and then I started with our home office in 2014 until I moved back here in October of 2014 to get the second Havre de Grace office going.
Wow, that's
so awesome. It's been a huge passion of mine to be able to meet the needs of the community, be able to help translate all of this financial info into a language that they can understand. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned the words on the wall here. With our business coach, we focused on trying to come up with wording to explain our mission. And what we came up with was this. It's something that we want our clients to see that they can actually hold us accountable to. So we say our business is built on relationships, not transactions. While serving our clients nationwide, we strive to improve our community where we live, work, and worship. We provide industry-leading service to our clients through the review and implementation of cash flow, risk management, investment, and insurance strategies. Consistent, ongoing communication and active participation with our clients is the key to our mutual success.
I love that. Love it. And Colin, going over to you, can you share a little bit about yourself?
Yes, so I grew up in Bel Air, Maryland, and went to Simon Wright High School, not too far from Havre de Grace. I went to Providence College in Rhode Island and graduated from there in 2018. after college, I had the opportunity to live out my childhood dream as a professional soccer player and live that out for the past 4 years at the USL Championship level, which is right below the MLS. 2 years with Loudoun United, 2 years with the Rio Grande Valley Toros, and then joined Edward Jones back in February. So I, again, grew up in the area, not too far from Havre de Grace, and I also knew a previous advisor named Rory White. He was really instrumental in kind of bringing me to Jones and introduced me to Jared. And so, yeah, just really excited about this new journey, new pursuit. But yeah, a little bit of background on me and how I got here.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. So promoting financial and physical wellness. Planning for your future is about so much more than your finances. Building a stable financial roadmap is also about your and your family's physical and emotional well-being, as navigating times of financial uncertainty can be stressful. So, whoever wants to start first, whoever wants to finish, you can flip-flop, add on, however you guys want to do this. But what is the most importance of thing? What is the importance of working with a financial advisor?
So I'll kick things off then.
Okay.
I like to think of ourselves as the financial physician. So there are a lot of times that we go to our doctor when there's something wrong. And the doctor gives us a prescription to go ahead and solve that issue. And that's kind of transactional. We like to look at it in more of a relational aspect for finance, though. How do we create a relationship that gets you from where you are today to where you want to be? How do we be preventative so that we don't have those big lifetime incidents? How do we go ahead and start off healthy and continue that healthy financial life rather than having that big episode down the road? Mm-hmm. So we help bring together the different partnerships with people like CPAs, with attorneys, and we bring in the financial aspect. We're the quarterback. We bring them all together, figure out what's wrong, get them to where they want to go. Colin, I know you use the word partnership a lot of the time, and you talk about a team, and I know that has a lot to do with your soccer experience.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think being in the team atmosphere, kind of being in that professional realm, we love to leverage other professionals that people have in their network to provide full service financial planning. And I think trying to be proactive rather than reactive in the management style, I think we try and work with people and really fulfill what maybe goals they have. It's not about us, it's about them, and putting the client first for a long-term investment horizon perspective. So it really is a partnership, working in that team environment to help people reach their goals.
Mm-hmm.
So
go ahead.
Going along with that doctor analogy, then if you think about health, we hear advice all the time, and it's pretty straightforward. Eat your veggies, exercise, promotes good health. In finance, we hear all kinds of opposing advice, and we get it from all kinds of different resources. We're here to go ahead and prescribe the right advice tailored to the individuals that we're meeting with.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like my insurance business. It's all about the person and your needs. So, yeah. What do financial advisors, well, we kind of covers do, because some may not even know what to expect or, what the extent is that your role is, or even what type of investments are even out there. Especially people that have kids with disabilities. Like, honestly, sometimes that's the farthest from our minds, because we're so focused in the now of, oh my gosh, we're already getting behind. They need this, X, Y, and Z. And then you get to that point where you're like, oh my gosh, you need help. You need to get out of this step, because you need to start looking for that, towards that future. And also with us, we have so many moving parts and different aspects and acronyms and everything in the disability world, and the advocating that we have to do on so many levels. It's nice to be able to come to you guys and be like, all right, look, help us out, but also to explain us to in a way that we understand it too. Just like I can talk to people about, disabilities and they're like, okay, I don't know what you're talking about. So it's kind of trying to open that up. So can you, did that make sense?
Yep. I think we can answer that.
Okay, good.
So it all starts off with an initial conversation. So what people should expect is they shouldn't feel intimidated. They shouldn't be afraid. everyone is at a different stage in life, but there's no time to start like the present. Time value of money says that $1 today is worth more than $1 down the road. So we need to make sure that people have dollars down the road as well. So we have an initial meeting. It's basically just like an interview. We sit down, we ask them to bring a certain set of documents so that we can have an understanding of their financial picture. And from there, we say, this is where you are today. Tell us a little bit about where you want to be. And here are the steps then to go ahead and get to that. And here are what gaps you have that we need to go ahead and fill. And then, like our wall says, it's a relationship, it's not a transaction. It's an ongoing conversation because we know that the market constantly changes, just like people's lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything you want to add, Colin?
Yeah, the only thing I'll add in there is that, we ultimately want to understand first before we make any recommendations. So like Jared mentioned, trying to gather all the information. As fiduciaries, we have to act in everybody's best interest. And so we need all the information in order to make it really a fair path forward for everybody. And everybody's plan's unique. And as Jared mentioned, the plan we lay out today, it may have to change if people have children or if there's a death in the family. Any kind of life event, we want to be just an extension of your family and be a reliable, trusted source when you are in a time of need, but also well before then, so we can have a plan in place so it's not reactionary, it's proactive.
Yeah, because I think, some families, that are struggling, they may be like, okay, well, why am I even going to go to a financial advisor? I have no money to invest. But really, they need to go sit with you and go over that so you guys can help them set a plan to kind of get things out of the way so you can start moving forward. When someone establishes that they do want to work with you, how and what does that look like? So what are the options? How do they work? How often do they meet with you? So they start out with that interview, and then kind of how does it kind of go from there, if you will?
I think what I'll just maybe start off with is that I think everybody again is going to be different. There's maybe no one size fits all, and I think for a lot of people, it's trying to figure out where they are today and then where they want to go. Jared mentioned that 5-step process, and it starts off with uncovering where people are at today. And that first appointment, we like to have an agenda ready, but it's also first just sitting back and listening. What is it that people would like to accomplish and going from there? And so I'll kind of let Jared take the rest, but that's really at least the beginning part of it is you're trying to really understand where people are at today.
Yeah. And then Jared, if you can hit that, and then also, what types of services, does Edward Jones provide? What are some of the different investments available? What types of investments, and, how they work too?
So we can work with folks however they want to work. Meaning if they want to be hands-on, we can work with them. If they want to be hands-off, we have options there. If people want to meet quarterly, or if they want to meet annually, or anywhere in between. We do everything tailored to the individual. So we are a service. We are here to go ahead and serve you. I like to end every appointment by asking the question, what else can we do to serve you best? Because that is what we're here to do. So if there's something in our process that needs to be tweaked for that individual, that's exactly what we're going to do. And we're going to help with things such as the unexpected. So we talk to folks about all of the different what ifs, looking at insurance coverages, looking to make sure that people have legal documents in place. We like to look at the retirement picture if that's one of their goals, or maybe it's emergency cash, having that on hand. We can also prepare for any other investment goals. I know one thing that I'm preparing for myself is the World Cup. It's coming to town. It's coming to the US in 2026. I'm investing for that. I know tickets aren't going to be cheap. I've got an investment account set aside. I've got an account set up for investing for my next house. I've got retirement accounts set up. Whatever the goal is for the individual, we can go ahead and talk them through what products to use, whether it's a stock, a bond, a mutual fund, CD, money market, you name it. The nice thing as a broker that we can go out and find the products that are right for our clients rather than working for someone that's captive and only being told what we can sell.
Yep. That's why I do that for insurance too. I'm pointing with like 9 different carriers. It's so important. It really, really is.
It is. And to put things in perspective for the scale of Edward Jones has over 19,000 advisors. And we have relationships with over 300 different product companies, whether it's insurance, whether it's mutual funds, ETFs, you name it, over 300 different relationships.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. What would be your best laid out plan to help a family who has a child with a disability and is in debt? If you, I don't know, even if you want to kind of go through a little example, or I don't know.
So I'll go ahead and kick that off then. Let's look at what today is. Let's take a look at what the debts are. Is there a way that we can go ahead and save? I always like to say, how can you live the same life at a cheaper cost? That's doing things like shopping through your TV, your internet, your insurances. Can you live the same costs or the same lifestyle just at a cheaper cost? Any of that extra money that you can go ahead and save, then that's all money that you can go ahead and put towards the debts. When you look at the debts, then what are the interest rates on those? Is there a way that we can go ahead and get those reduced? The other thing is, how do we pay it off most efficiently? If we have a high interest rate debt, it's something that we should look at and consider. Do we pay that off first, or do we look at paying off a different debt? And the overall effects on the cash flow that it has. So how do we cut what we're paying, whether that's an interest or additional expenses, and where do we go ahead and go with the cash flow? Then from there, it's covering all of the what ifs. Unfortunately, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So especially with folks that have someone with disabilities that they're looking after, what's the plan for care afterwards? Do we have that in place? Do we have legal documents to ensure that there is care afterwards? Do we have the right vehicle set up to where money can pass on and not potentially affect those various benefits? Mm-hmm. Everyone's different, and we need to make sure that we're working towards that specific individual solution. And there are great partners, such as attorneys that we can work with and CPAs, to make sure that one hand doesn't necessarily affect the other in terms of the taxes or the benefits, things of that sort, to make sure that it is truly the best for the individual and the family with someone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's important. So do you guys have partnerships with specific CPAs and attorneys that you generally work with all the time, or some people too?
So I won't say that they are official partnerships, mm-hmm. Because we can't necessarily by regulation have a documented specific partnership. Right. But we do have a number of attorneys, folks for insurance, CPAs, tax preparers that we have worked with, that we would recommend, that we would put our names behind, and that have done quality work for ourselves and for our clients.
Right. All about networking.
I mean, we certainly want to be a resource for people, and as much as we understand we can't be a one-stop shop, we would love for people to come to us, and then we kind of, as we started at the beginning, we want to be in somebody's professional team that they can trust and know that we're going to do good work, but we don't have the ego to say, we want to do everything. We understand that we'll hit a threshold, and then we want to find someone else in our network that's going to be able to help you and give you the level of service you need.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. How do you communicate with your clients, and how, well, you kind of said how often. I know when I was in your office too, Colin, you were kind of taking me through your portfolio of the different things and how closely you work with people, really depending upon them. There was like different levels, if you will.
Yeah. So I think that day we were going through, really just for everybody, it's going to look a little bit different. I think Jared and I would prefer to meet with people in person, especially trying to build a relationship, but we have the capacity to meet in person, over the phone, over Zoom, if it is the first appointment, second appointment. And we at least want to try and make sure we're meeting with people at least semi-annually, if not maybe quarterly, depending on what their needs are. Again, everybody's going to be different. And I think and Jared mentioned, in every appointment, it's going to look a little bit different, whether it's a review or it's an initial appointment. We're really kind of going through that discovery process relatively regularly, asking a lot of those what if questions, but even asking, is there anything else that we don't already know? A lot of people are living very complicated lives, and so there's a lot of elements to it. So it's kind of peeling back the onion layer by layer, eventually kind of getting to the core.
Do you track all your investment performance?
So thankfully, our system does that. We don't have to calculate all of that by hand. But our system will go ahead and show us all the performance by every individual investment. It'll show us by the portfolio as a whole. It'll show us by financial goal how each one of those investments are going. And we want to look at that in a few different ways. We want to compare it to a relative benchmark. A lot of people like to look at the Dow that's on the TV. That's a big number. And people might compare their portfolio against the Dow. Well, that's 30 individual stocks. Compared to their portfolio might have stocks, it also might have bonds. So the Dow might not be a good point of judgment for that overall portfolio. So we want to compare it versus its relative benchmark and against other products, other weightings of stocks and bonds and things of that sort. And then the other thing we want to do is we also want to look at the tax efficiencies for it. So is there a difference in performance, and is there a change that we can do in terms of tax efficiencies? Because a 10% return might be very different depending on the type of account and the tax structure that it's set up in. Mm-hmm. So how are we arranging all of these to make sure that it's the most efficient inside of those different structures? So that's where we work with the different partnerships, make sure that everyone's on the same page with their CPA, make sure that we're accomplishing all of that. And then, it's a relationship. It's not a transaction. So this isn't setting it up, letting it sit and forget it. It's a matter of constantly reviewing it. Mm-hmm. And if something crazy happens in the meantime, we're going to be reaching out in addition to those regular appointments.
Mm-hmm. The biggest question many have is, how are you paid? And I get this too. And of course, I got to do the plug thing for my insurance. But same thing. I get so many people be like, okay, well, how do you get paid? Or I got to make sure I have enough money for you. And I'm like, no, I'm as an insurance broker, I'm like, I come in and I educate you. My job is to educate you. And then if you go ahead and enroll in a plan, it doesn't matter which carrier you choose. I get paid the same commission across the board, but from said carrier. So I always tell them my services are free, and I kind of tell them about that. So how are you guys paid, especially for those families that might be afraid to reach out to a financial advisor, thinking, all right, I'm already in debt due to medical bills and therapies and this and that. And now I'm going to go in there and then they're going to give me advice and stuff. And then how am I going to pay them? And these are legit things that probably go through one's mind. So can you kind of go over that?
I think I can start off by saying the initial consultation, the only cost of that is going to be an individual's time. I think just as much as it is for them to meet with us, it's us to meet with them. But there's no monetary cost for that initial appointment. We want to make sure that people are coming in, and we may not be compatible, or we might say, hey, you could probably do this on your own. This isn't maybe the advisor, or maybe not the advisor for you. So I think we don't feel like it's fair to maybe charge for that initial consultation. And then from there, there's multiple different approaches people can take. There's a fee base, there's a commission base, depending on really what kind of role people want to have in their finances as well, whether they want to be hands-on and really partnering with the advisor, or they want to be in an advisory role and they want to be hands-off, kind of giving us the keys of the car, and we drive and we're going to really help you get to your destination. But as much as it is us trying to help you achieve your goals, we want it to be a partnership. And so we really need people to participate in the planning. And I'm sure Jared can fill in some stuff I left out, but generally to really get started, there's no cost for the initial consultation. It's really just someone's time. As much as it's our time, it's their time as well to take the first appointment serious. And hopefully that's going to be the beginning of something great.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and that's what they need your help to sit there and go through everything. So then as you start making money, then you start making money and we start making money and everybody's happy, and it's like, oh my gosh, we're getting out of the woods.
Exactly. So when someone comes in to talk about debts, especially, we're here to go ahead and improve their financial life, the life of their family, and then therefore the financial life of the community around us. So the better we all do, the better the community does as a whole. So it wouldn't make sense for us to charge for that first appointment to try to help someone get out of debt. That does not help them towards their financial goals. So that first appointment, like Colin said, we don't go ahead and charge for. The way that we make our money is based on the ongoing relationship and that asset management side of things. So when it comes down to it, people aren't writing us a separate check. They're not handing over funds that day. It comes from the actual assets that we are managing. So what's already inside of those assets, that's where the funds would come from. Not a separate check that they have to worry about, another bill, another debt that they might be adding on.
What do you consider as assets, and how do you manage those assets?
So we look at all different assets. Now, we charge based on the assets that we actually manage. So we hold the investment accounts, your stocks, your bonds, your mutual funds, the retirement accounts, things of that sort. Those are the assets that we would actually hold and we would manage in-house per se. But we look at the overall picture. Houses, they have a great amount of value to them these days. There might be value there that we can unlock to go ahead and help out with other debts. So, and that can be used for a lot of different circumstances, whether it's a house, other valuables, whatever that might look like. But we look at the full financial picture to determine our advice. We don't just look at the assets that they bring to us.
Okay.
And we can take all of that into consideration. I mean, we don't necessarily have to have all of everybody's assets here. We don't have to have their pension, their 401k, their savings. It doesn't have to be all under the same roof. Mm-hmm. It certainly helps having it all here because we can really paint somebody a clear, accurate picture because we have their risk tolerance, their time horizon, their investment objective, and we can control a lot of that here. While all the assets they have outside of Jones, we're kind of just getting secondhand from them. And so as much as we want to help paint that full picture, we can still plan for it inside of our system here, Money Guide Financial Foundations. But we kind of really need to get all that information, especially in that first appointment, second appointment, to be able to paint that accurate picture.
Perfect. Do you guys have any advice that you would like to share? Or any words of wisdom?
Start now. You don't have to be a millionaire to work with us. You don't even have to be 100,000-aire or anything else. But we are in some historic times in America. Mm-hmm. We've just seen a tremendous move in interest rates. We've seen a tremendous move in tax rates. But we're in an incredible time in terms of the technology that we're coming out with. The fact that we can sit here today, miles apart, and have this conversation and be able to see each other is incredible. Mm-hmm. Start now. Get that money growing for you today as early as possible, and take care of those debts as early as possible. Get it going today.
Yep. How about you, Colin?
Yeah, I'll just add time in the market is always going to be trying to time the market. I think we want to work with people for life. We don't want it to be transactional. And I think trying to really take that first step today, and don't wait to the new year. You know, a lot of people use the new year as a fresh start, new beginning. Let's get things started today. So then we can already have a plan in place for the new year, and don't put off, what needs to be done today either. And I think Jared and I are very approachable. Don't feel like you have to have a baseline of knowledge or if money's always been taboo for you and your family, don't feel like you have to come in here knowing something that you don't. Just come on in and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, that's what you guys are there for. And I have to say too, for folks that are listening, that, they're as your child gets older, there is other supports that start coming in. And once they start making Social Security, and then if they get on waivers and that kind of stuff, it's like you start to see yourself kind of come out. So there is always hope. And then But again, I would suggest them coming in to talk to you guys at early age, or the earlier the better, to kind of, like you said, put that plan in place and then still stay in contact with you, because then they'll always know that you're there. Again, that relationship building. So when their heads are kind of coming up out of water and they can even do even more, you're right there walking them through, because we have so many other people and resources that we have to reach out with, because it really truly is a village. So we need to add you guys to that village. That's what I say. Mm-hmm. So, and
we have a number of clients that we've been talking to for years. We might meet with them once a year to get a checkup, see how they're doing, and continue to go ahead and help them with those different scenarios. And the hope is that eventually they become those clients. So they can start today. They don't have to have the money available, but we're that resource to help guide them in the right direction.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So as a token of appreciation for my guests, I gift them all with a My Intent token, where I hand stamp a special meaningful word on a token and put it on keychains or bracelets. And yes, the men do wear the bracelets. They're black corded bracelets. So anyway, I wanted to ask each one of you, what would be a meaningful word to you? If you would be willing to share it and share why you chose it. And, it's something that is just a reminder that you can see daily.
I think the word I chose was accountability. I think it's something, as we start to look ahead to 2024, I think I have my accountability partners professionally. I have Jared here with us today, and also have Ashley. Ashley's our branch office administrator. And those two are my professional accountability partners. And I also have my fiance, Kara. We recently got engaged, and she holds me accountable as well. And so that's kind of my short list of people in my network, as well as my family. But accountability, kind of look down at the bracelet, be able to see that, knowing that they're going to be there with me kind of every step of the way. Not that's the finish this year, but looking ahead to 2024.
Yeah, absolutely. Love that. How about you, Jared?
So I'm going to say freedom. So to those that know me, America is at my core. And one thing that I remember every day is that we are blessed to live in a land that is free. And we see what's going on with Russia and Ukraine, with Israel and Gaza. And we are here in this country with these freedoms to have these conversations today and every day. And I'm thankful that I'm blessed to have that freedom. But then on top of it, this year, a defining moment in my life, Karen, I saw you for that one event and then didn't see for the others because I ended up breaking my ankle. And I was off my feet for months. And it was my driving foot. It's my right foot. And to not have that freedom was painful. I got to experience that loss of freedom, that loss of independence. Mm-hmm. And working towards that has been huge for me. So being able to be free in that aspect, to be able to have the freedoms that America gives. And then when we talk about our industry, the financial freedom is huge. The weight off your shoulders when you're able to have that financial freedom, to get away from the crushing debt, to be able to have assets that have your name associated with it. We are incredibly blessed to be in this country and to have the freedoms that we have.
Amen. Well, thank you guys both so much for taking the time out of the day to hop on and do this interview. I will go ahead and have all of their information in the show notes, and they are the Edward Jones Financial in Havre de Grace. And until next time, have a great end of 2023 and into the 2024. Thanks. Bye, guys.
See ya.
See ya.
Thank you for joining us as we spread awareness through our personal stories and the many resources shared. You can help us by joining our village simply by sharing our show to the masses. If you would like to support the Guilbault Girls on another level, click on the link in the show notes to make a donation in any amount. Add your address and you'll receive a hand-stamped token with the word village on it in appreciation. Be sure to subscribe to our Guilbault Girls podcast and YouTube show, and don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Guilbault Girls. Till next time.